This is something interesting because this was this is my wife's Game Boy Pocket. She gave it to me like a long time ago, like I think maybe when we were dating.
Whoa!
And I just put it in a drawer somewhere, and I didn't really do it because I didn't really do anything with it because I turned it on and the screen didn't work. And so recently I found it and I was like, oh, I wonder if I can get that screen working because I've been kind of on a kick, opening up consoles and TVs like this one here, maybe adding audio jacks to it.
I really enjoyed the video. That was really awesome. I cannot do what you did, so it impressed me.
Yeah, I've forgotten a lot about engineering. Like I don't even know if my circuit was even correct, and I have people who were like, "Oh, you could have done this, you could have done this," but hey, it works, so I did it. As long as it works, you did it right. All right. So anyway, so I opened up. Go watch that video too. It's pretty good.
Yeah. So for those who haven't seen it, it's I don't remember what it's called exactly. It's on this channel. And it's EJ adds a headphone port to an old CRT television.
Yeah, and it's because I have the CRT television. It only has an external speaker. It didn't have a headphone jack, and I thought, hey, you know what? I need it so that I can not disturb anybody. And
it sounds really good.
It sounds no. It doesn't sound great because it's an old TV. It's like even the speaker like has like a buzz to it. So it's
someday I'll go to your house and I'll see what this what all this SCART is about.
Yeah. Oh, it looks gorgeous. Oh my god. Especially Sonic. Oh, every pixel is beautiful. Yeah. So anyway, this Pocket, it didn't have a working screen. I opened it up and there was a loose ribbon cable. I put it back in and now it works. So it's got and everything works. It's
Amazing.
got the sound. This is Kirby. I don't think my wife had Kirby, but yeah. So it's been fun.
You know what's funny
electronic
about that?
work.
Nina had a Game Boy Color. Strangely enough, the woman hates video games. She cannot stand the thought of them.
Yeah,
doesn't want to touch them. Much the way that I feel about board games, where I'm like, no, the minute they come out, the minute somebody's reading instructions and putting down cards and going, these are your cards, I'm like, fuck this.
Yeah, I'm with you. I had one of those friends who loved board games and would always pull them out. Oh my goodness.
My sister loved them when we were kids, and I loved video games, and so we were just completely at odds. And we just couldn't play with each other. That's what it came out to. We just were only children in opposite ends of the house over this issue. But she had one, and she had that Mario Deluxe game that we talked about one time. The original SMB one with the extra features, which is cool. And what else did she have? She had Mario Lands, and she had Tetris, and she would sometimes play them.
Yeah, Anna had Super Mario Land and Tetris, and that's it. Those are that was it. That was the whole system was those two games.
I had an original Game Boy, and I had Mario Land 2 and Kirby. And I was like, I wonder what else is on the Game Boy. And there's other good stuff on the Game Boy, but the truth is, those two games are all you need.
Yeah, I mean, you got it good with that. Zelda Link's Awakening is also pretty good.
I feel you. Well, I have to admit something. I've tried to play that game. And I get it. I've tried to play Oracle of Seasons. I've tried to play Minish Cap. I've tried to, and they all are about the same. You throw pots and you slice through bushes and you solve small puzzles. And I'm bored. And there's like kind of shitty comedy in the dialogue boxes. I'm making no friends with this one. But so I'm just curious, what is it that people love about Link's Awakening over all the other Zelda games, which are all the same exact thing?
I think it's I like it because it's a little standalone adventure. It is pretty quirky. Weirdly enough, they took inspiration from Twin Peaks, so there's kind of like a mystery vibe to the island, and because in Japan, Twin Peaks was really big. Like they had coffee commercials, directed by David Lynch in Japan. Selling coffee with all the characters from Twin Peaks. They're wild. You should check them out. And and so it was kind of a phenomenon there. So you got a lot of games in the 90s that were kind of influenced by David Lynch's Twin Peaks. including this game, the kind of like mysterious vibe to it. And so there's that. It's just, I don't know. And it was like on the Game Boy, and it felt as big as a Link to the Past. So that was kind of awesome. Interesting. It's like it felt like it played very similarly. The physics felt right. Like, you know, especially in that day and age where you'd get a Game Boy game randomly, it'd be like Last Action Hero, this random licensed game or something, and you put it in, like the character controlled like mud, and you die at every single thing. But then you got this Zelda game that played perfectly, looked perfectly, and just you like ate through it. It's great.
I'm trying to remember, what were we talking about the other day? Oh yeah, we were. There's another YouTuber, Jason Graves, who's become a friend of ours, who's in our Discord now, and he's made some stuff on AVGN that was popular, and he's made a lot of content, and he made a top 100 NES video that we all watched and enjoyed. It was pretty in depth. It was like 3 hours or something. So we've been chatting a lot, and he's young, and he knows he's young. He's very aware of, well, he's like, I feel old, but he's one of, you know, well, I think when you're in your 20s, you're kind of like really aware of age, right? Like it kind of comes up all the time, especially as you start to lose it. I have this one friend who like, she approached like 30, and I just knew when she's 30, she's going to lose like some of her identity. She really hangs her hat on like, I know what young people like.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden you don't.
Yeah.
You know, the first time I felt really old?
When?
Was when I was watching Game of Thrones, and Ed Sheeran, or whatever his name is, appeared. And I watched the episode, and I had no idea who he was. And everyone was complaining on the internet. It's like, oh, I can't believe it's like I was like, who? And it was like, so, and then I like look up his videos, and there's like billions and billions of views on all his music videos. I'm like, oh, I don't understand culture anymore.
Isn't he the one that does the song that's like, I don't know about you, I don't know about you.
I really can't tell you.
I'm in love with the shape of you. We push and pull like a magnet.
I still don't know.
Yeah.
But that sounds about right.
I first heard of him when he did the credit song for The Hobbit, the second Hobbit.
I think he, you know, this is funny, is he also does the credit song for Pokemon Violet.
Oh, there you have it.
So I have heard that.
Pikachu, true. Anyway, we were talking about...
I'm going to double check that before somebody fact checks me.
Fucking L-Take!
Yeah, I don't want to... I think Pokemon. Let me make sure.
Because there's an age gap, and it's like a 10-year age gap. It's like some of these guys that we talk to in our Discord are like late 20s, and we're late 30s. And that doesn't feel like a huge chasm, but what it comes down to is like they were born in the late 90s. And that's different than being born in the mid to late 80s.
Okay, wait. I Googled that. And the first thing that comes up with is... This Pokemon mod removes all traces of Ed Sheeran. People hate the guy. I have no idea.
He's very popular, and so
there's a contingency of anti. What do you call those? The rebels, contrarians.
I mean, he's also like he's a heartthrob. Nobody likes a male that way too many women want to have sex with.
Yeah,
unless that's not true because like nobody begrudges Brad Pitt.
Yeah, or Hugh Jackman.
So anyway, back to Jason. I think we were talking about Sonic CD, and they were talking about how the internet has gone up and down on this game, where like it was kind of undiscovered at first, and so when people kind of started to play it again for the first time in the early 2010s, maybe they were like, "This is the best of the original Sonic games." And now that it's been ported on everything, and like you can't get away from Sonic CD, everybody's like, "It's actually like one of the shittiest Sonic games." Now, there's been a lot of shitty Sonic games, so I don't think Sonic CD comes anywhere near that. But much like you were saying about Link's Awakening, like half of the love for the game is the novelty of like, wow, this is what a Game Boy game can be. If you had a Sega CD at that time, and the Sonic game you bought was that one, and there was an opening animation, like you're watching a cartoon of Sonic when you like when you were talking about the cartoon of Mega Man on PlayStation, like it was kind of mind blowing. When you had it's like a 2D Sonic game, but it's got CD quality music, and it kind of all added up to, in the fact that you invested in this Sega CD thing and you actually had a Sonic game, unlike the Saturn. It's like the game itself is like half immaterial. Like it's really about how much bang you're getting for your buck.
I'm still, I think there's still something special about Sega CD stuff. I was just loading up my EverDrive there, and I was like, yeah, the pixel graphics with the CD quality music just always gets me.
It's good stuff. How come 32X didn't quite nail it? Like, there's a few games I can, the Star Wars Arcade, that's kind of cool that exists for console. The Knuckles Chaotix thing, I don't know. I think that might need a Christian Whitehead a treatment or something.
It doesn't look great. I've never played it, mostly because I just never gave it an opportunity. Yeah. But I don't know, I think 32X is just half baked. Sega CD was fully supported. It has like 200 games, so it's not. It wasn't left out to die. There's 32X is half baked in a lot of its conception and also its execution. Oh,
there's that game Dark Side for 32X that was kind of cool. That was like a space simulator. Oh, Tempo. Tempo is a really cool, not especially great, but really awesome looking 32X game. It's a little platformer. Where you play a little guy with headphones. It's like all music.
Oh yeah, okay. I know that one. Yeah, I'm sure it showed up in a Sega Lord X video.
Yeah, the graphics look great, but oh boy, does it play like my taint. The guy. What makes that when he gets mad at a game, when he insults a game, what makes it great is that he doesn't do it very often, and it's not his shtick. So it comes from a place of true emotion.
Yeah, but he also the delivery is always like strange.
And... Yeah. And oh boy, did it sound like chomped up assholes? Something. Because you would think it's kind of like tired in an AVGN-ish way. No, when it comes from the heart, it's different. That's right.
He feels personally offended. And you can tell.
This is the creme de la creme of absolute garbage. This took out the freaking 2-player mode. Talking about the worst sports game on the Sega CD still burns my ass up to this very day.
This worthless bastard can't do anything on his own.
This is what Snatcher would have been if Snatcher had sucked. The back of the box talks up photorealistic graphics and a pumping soundtrack. What a load of crap.
And it sounds like someone is dropping a deuce while you're playing it. But everything around that sucks to high heaven.
I can just see a room full of Sega executives sporting wood over the notion of this being the next big thing. I've been saving this turd so I can give it a proper beating.
Problem is, the game plays like complete dog shit. The music and sound effects suck to high heaven.
This choppy crapfest of a game did not deserve Joe Cool's name on it in the slightest.
Every one of them sucked. But Double Dragon 3 here takes the crown of King of Sucking. Somebody should have been there to smack my dumbass back down to reality. This complete shitfest of a one-on-one fighter is one of the most broken, infuriating, and unplayable messes. Any of the time you spend in this game is akin to being kicked in the nuts and then asking for another kick immediately after. Dark Castle holds a special place in my heart of absolute hatred. You should know the kind of shit stain you have on your hands. Some folks like to commend the graphics, but I think those look like shit too. That, of course, is a hot load of bullshit.
Yeah, because the guy is, he's Gen X, and so when we were all just kind of hoping to get these games for Christmas or birthdays, this guy was out there playing, gambling on all of these games with his own, pizza money or whatever.
He's like, it was 1992. I had a pregnant girlfriend at the time, and you had to.
I had to choose between her, the baby, and a new game from Sega.
I was like, wait a minute. It was 1982. You had a pregnant girlfriend? What the heck?
I had a pregnant girlfriend, EJ. Starts talking to you. Man, he has a pregnant girlfriend? How the fuck does that work? I had to choose between Tempo for the 32X and Black Man 2 for the racist SNES.
There's another game that is supposed to be like Mario 2, I believe. And it's called Black Man 2 once you get into the game, and I don't know how to describe it. It's pretty racist.
I'm just picturing like Sega Lord X doing like a straight review of Black Man 2.
Nothing like its predecessor. The entire screen.
In fact, I can't even find it on this console.
So pick it up if you find it, but it's incredibly rare. Black Man 2. I've been playing a little bit of I went on I had like an hour to myself. Doesn't happen very often. Everybody was asleep. And it wasn't too late. It was like 9:30. And I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to sit in my office chair near my CRT, and I'm going to play a couple games. And I immediately became overwhelmed by choice. And I went to romhacking.net, and I filtered by Sega Genesis, because that's the EverDrive setup I have at the moment. And I started just searching for cool-looking ROM hacks. And actually, one of them was TMNT, Shredder's Re-Revenge. They did swap out the Streets of Rage music for Turtles music, but they picked the worst Turtles music ever. I don't know what the hell they were thinking. I mean,
What were they thinking?
It sounds like ass. It's that song from the arcade, the
Oh, yeah.
But it was a terrible version of it. Anyway, it's nice to have anyway. So there was that one. There was most ROM hacks. It seems like they take games that kind of sucked and they try to make them incrementally better.
They do a lot of that. Like fix the continue feature in this game. Yeah, there's a ton of those.
Yeah, like honestly, the majority of them was adding a save feature to games that should have had a save feature.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I can imagine like Metroid would probably do like the original NES Metroid. I think in Japan it did have a save feature because it was on like a disc. They had the disc system over there.
Famicom disc
and
system.
so yeah, I'm sure there's a ROM hack that adds it to the English version.
There was one that was like it was called like, what was it? Sonic 2 Emerald something. And it was like, instead of having to go through the special stages for all your Chaos Emeralds, every time you get a continue at the end of a level, that's actually a Chaos Emerald now. Oh. And the Chaos Emeralds give you their own little power. So like one Chaos Emerald is to make you go faster. One Chaos Emerald is to like, I don't know, there's a bunch of different special abilities. So it just kind of makes like, you can mount the gameplay a little bit faster. I like stuff like that. I'm always on there was an NES ROM hack I played with for Journey to Silius that made the game just like 30% easier. That's all you need. Just take the edge off of this thing.
Yeah, there's a famous ROM hack it's like a patch for the Lunar games for both Sega CD and PlayStation. Lunar's an RPG. And the person the developers who localized it for America, like, weirdly made the games harder for no reason. They thought maybe like the games were too easy, but they're like unfair hard when they localized them. So there's in the company's called Working Designs, and the patch is called Unworking Designs, and they make the games much easier. And it's the same. Pop Full Mail, they localize Pop Full Mail, and there's a patch to make that game slightly easier too.
Subscribe to Red Cow Entertainment on Patreon for full episodes every other week.